So I never wanted to really own my own practice. It was never, because it is scary. But biggest thing that really transitioned my thought process was having my son. And yeah, then it was like you said, I just kind of jumped into the deep end and bet on myself to make this work.
Now, Dr. Tanya, we certainly want to get into everything arch movement. Beforehand, I'd love to kind of get to know you a little bit as well. And we did actually initially meet at the Lake in the Hills Rotary Rock and Rib Fest.
We sure did. That was fun.
It was a blast. It was a lot of fun. And it was really cool to talk to you. But it's going to be a lot funner to talk to you now so we can kind of get a little bit more into the weeds as far as what you're all.
Yeah.
I'm from the Chicagoland area. And you know I was going here, Dr. Tanya.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
And you are not. Where exactly are you from?
So I am from the Eau Claire area up in Wisconsin. So like 4.5 hours northwest of here. I always tell people if you've gone to Minnesota, you've gone too far. So
Gotcha. And I know you're certainly a fan of a certain football team in that area, correct?
Yeah, just a slightly diehard. I bleed green and gold. I'm a Packers fan, and as will my child be. He has no choice.
No choice.
So even though I'm making him grow up in Illinois, he's going to be a Packers fan.
Okay. You, a young lady, also were quite the baller, shall we say? Can you talk about a little bit about your basketball past?
Yeah. So I grew up playing basketball. I do believe it was my first love. I recently just asked my dad like how I got started because he's randomly told me small little things from my past, but like he gave me a basketball at the age of like 3 or 4, and it's history from there. I played all through high school, and then I played for a couple of years at my undergraduate school, which was UW Stout. And so I played there for a couple of years. And then I was having a lot of back issues. I had back pain in high school. I remember walking out of the training room and I think I had ice on my back, on my knees. I'm like, I'm 20 years old. This should not be happening. So I ended up, I guess, quitting, but basically the risk and the reward were not there. And so I decided to just walk away from basketball. And I think it was one of the hardest decisions that I've ever had to make. And so it was a tough time, but I had a village around me that helped me get through it. And then I started playing intramurals. And so I was having fun again, and not playing as much helped my body.
This episode's feature partner, Yang Yang Pilates, shares Arch Movement's belief that movement should meet you where you are. You don't have to be flexible or already fit to begin, just ready to build strength and move with confidence.
Before we get into that, and obviously that's gonna dominate the conversation. But
yeah.
What is it about a certain player from Duke that you enjoyed so much back in the day?
I am first and foremost a Wisconsin Badger fan. However, I fell in love with Duke basketball when I was younger, and I was a shooting guard. Still am. I like to consider myself still a shooting guard. I like to still play sometimes. But JJ Redick was someone that I watched video. I wanted to be the best shooter that I could be. And he was like it for me. And so, yeah, I spent a lot of hours watching him and a lot of practicing and stuff like that.
What do you think, as being a shooting guard, has helped you in your life and certainly in your career?
I would probably say, one, perseverance, but also just the practice that it takes to master your craft. And so practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And I know perfect doesn't exist. However, making sure that you are honing in on the skills that you have and mastering those skills to make you good at what you do. And so that has then transferred into my career where, I've been a chiropractor for almost 15 years. And so it's been a journey of learning and more learning and mastering my craft. And just like I did back in the day when I was trying to be the best shooter I could be, it's same skills and mentality to get to where I am today.
You would reference some of your physical issues. And so I'm
Mhm.
going to be a little presumptuous here, but I assume that must have been something rather strongly that you felt in your heart that because you dealt with some of these issues, maybe pursuing a career in helping others that have those same issues makes a lot of sense. Is that
Yeah.
kind of the mentality
Yeah.
that went with that?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I always knew I wanted to help people. And in high school, I just didn't know what that looked like. And so, but I knew I wanted to help athletes. And
Hmm.
so I was one of those athletes that I'd get down on myself if I made a mistake. I think every single one of my coaches pointed it out to me. And so initially, I wanted to help people with their mind and I
Okay.
wanted to go into sports psychology
Hmm.
because I struggled with that so much. And then I took my first psychology class freshman year of college, and I was like, I don't think this one's for me.
Okay.
And so then dealing with the physical issues, I had a lot of back pain in high school. And then in college, I actually tore my ACL playing basketball. And so I really enjoyed learning about the human body, how it works, how it moves. I started taking more anatomy courses and I was like, this is it for me. I love learning about this. I'm
Sure.
good at it. And I started seeing a chiropractor in high school,
Okay.
me back pain. And then I also had to do a lot of physical therapy when I tore my ACL. So I knew that those were the two avenues I wanted to go down. And then one day I picked chiropractic.
Took that
So
lead. You had mentioned that you had always wanted to help. You really didn't know what that meant when you were
mhm,
younger. Was
right.
there was there a person, or who were you sort of looking at that point of like, okay, I see that, they're helping create change. I want to somehow figure out how to navigate my life to be able to do the same.
Honestly, I don't know one person. It's a funny story. When I started seeing my chiropractor back home, she was like, well, you should be a chiropractor. You'd be great at it. And I was like, oh, no, you're crazy. Like, I'll never be a doctor.
Right.
And so I don't think I have one person in particular that I could point out that really emulated what I wanted to do. I
Hmm.
think just going through what I went through, then having maybe those practitioners help me,
Sure. I bet.
then I was like, well, you get to work with athletes. I love that.
Hmm.
You get to help them move better. You get to help them get out of pain. With me dealing with pain throughout high school, which I feel like was way too young to be having pain, but seeing them and how they care for people, that's what I want. That's how I wanted to care for people.
Okay.
And so I thought about medical school. It like crossed my mind. I did a 2-week rotation in college and followed around multiple medical providers. And what I saw is I wanted to spend more time with my patients. I
Okay.
didn't want to be kind of like, here, I want to spend a couple minutes with you and then you. And so that's when I was like, well, my chiropractor spends a lot of time with me. I've had PT and I really like the idea of movement and rehab.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I guess it's the providers that I had back in the day. I would
Okay.
probably say that. No one really in particular.
Well, it seems that you were able to experience how they were able to benefit you, and then it sort of did
Yeah.
lead your direction. So know that when you made that decision, okay, I'm going to go to medical school, I'm going to get this done. Was that, I mean, I have myself, I've got a master's degree. I'm pretty proud of
Mhm.
that, as does my wife and as does my brother. And that's a pretty cool
Yeah.
thing. You're kind of a big thing here. When you decided that you wanted to kind of go on and take that next step and become like a doctor, were there folks in your life that were supportive of that? Were there some folks
Oh,
within
yeah.
your life that were like, you might want to be careful with this, or how did that experience
Oh,
go?
no, 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 no way. My parents have always been very supportive
Right.
of what I do and the choices I make. My dad was always like, it's your choice. I'm just here to support that any way I can. But
Right.
I don't think I ever had, I maybe had a few of my guy friends in undergrad that were like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Doctor, what?
Right.
Just kind of like ribbing me a little bit. But I truly believe I have grown up surrounded by very supportive parents, very supportive family, and now currently a very supportive husband.
Nice.
So I'm very fortunate in that. in that way. And so I feel like my parents were more of like a hands-off approach where they still helped me and still supported me. But
Yeah.
I had a lot of internal motivation to get to where I am and do the things that I've wanted to do and strive to do. So a lot of internal motivation.
And again, I will say that probably a lot of that comes from your athletic background, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah, I'm very competitive too. So
Yes.
you think that does come from my dad a little bit, but
So when you first got into this industry, you were working for someone else.
yep. Yeah.
And
So I didn't know really where I wanted to land. And I knew it was in the Midwest. And then I found a really awesome practice in downtown Chicago and started there in the middle of the loop. And so that was kind of a scary transition being from small town Wisconsin, but it was actually amazing too.
well, you got to be one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and you certainly there was something altered, something changed with you where you sort of made this decision that I don't just want to work for someone else. I want to open up my own practice.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how that happened, and what were the steps that you sort of made sure that this arch movement that you got rolling here, that my wife and I visited multiple occasions here. Talk us through that whole process of going from, it's pretty easy to work for someone else when you got their benefits and you got their insurance and you've got patients that are locked in because there's already a trajectory of success with that. And then when you take that next step and say, hey, no, I'm doing my own thing here. And talk about that process. Was it scary? Did you jump into it like you did all your sport?
Yeah.
Talk us through that.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, I worked under someone for, oh my gosh, like 14 years, I think. And so I never wanted to really own my own practice. It was never, because it is scary. It's really scary. There's a lot of unknowns. I am very clinical minded. I'm not business minded.
Yeah.
And so we don't get a lot of business training in chiropractic school. That may have changed now. It's been a very long time since I've gone, so that might have changed by now. But I just didn't have a lot of business acumen. And so it was very scary for me. But as I was working under people, I got to see some of the things that they did. And I just got to a point where I think the biggest biggest thing that really transitioned my thought process was having my son. And so I have a 4-year-old and he's the best. And I don't think I realized how much my priorities would shift when he came into my world. And so, I was working weekends and evenings, and it was good for a while. And then as he's getting older and starting to get more involved in things, I didn't want to miss out. And so he is my number one priority. And so much so I named my practice after him because his name is Archer.
Yes.
And so, it really, as I got in farther into my thought process, maybe I could do this. And then it was like you said, I just kind of jumped headfirst into the deep end and bet on myself. And I'm still betting on myself to make this work. I'm still under a year into this business ownership, but it truly is for him, for my son, and having the flexibility is so important to be able to be there for him. And so, he was the biggest shift in my thought and my ability to believe in myself that I can do this. And he's my inspiration to get this done. So if you would have asked me 5 years ago if I was to be owning my own business and practice, I would have told you were crazy.
Let's go back to your son's name. That's a very awesomely unique name. Where does that come from? It's such a beautiful name.
Okay, so if I'm being honest, it's from a TV show, a cartoon TV show that is from FX. It's not a child-friendly cartoon show. It's called Archer. But I don't know, my husband and I were watching it one day and we're like, we both really like that name. And I don't know if many other couples out there that are trying to name their child and you need both parties to agree on said name. It was very hard for my husband and I to, funny enough, I actually wanted to name my firstborn Reddick after Jenkins Reddick.
Absolutely.
And my husband was very much against that. And so we landed on Archer and Connor. I'm very Irish. And so we had to see him. He needed to come into our world for us to like get his vibe and what
Sure.
he's gonna be all about.
Yes.
But yeah, once he was born, we're like, Archer is it.
It's really been wonderful to, I know that you've just started this business and stuff. Like I say, my wife and I have had the opportunity to go by and visit you a couple times. I can tell you with confidence, once you go up the stairway, Dr. Tanya, if you go to the left, it's a lot quicker, the doctor to the right, inside. And you and me and Neha will remember what I'm talking about with that.
Yes.
But as you've been rocking and rolling here less than a year, you still, anyone that's played sports before, I'm just going to reference sports because I love them, and you're not only a high school athlete, but a college athlete. As you've kind of been doing this for a little less than a year now, what have you learned that you know now that you wish you might have known when you first got this party started?
I wish that I would have known how hard it actually is to get off the ground and running. And I knew it was going to be hard. And I knew I was going to have to grind, but I don't know if I appreciated it enough. Any business owner, anyone trying to start from the ground up, even if you have this massive background and you've been in the industry for years, it's still, there's something different about owning your own business and the grind that truly needs to be appreciated. And the fact that I'm a mom as well has the different hills and valleys that I've had to navigate through business ownership. But the grind is truly worth it in the end. And so I've definitely had my days where I'm like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to continue?
Sure.
And then I have days that are that make it so worth it. And so, yeah, I mean, I have all the appreciation for any business owner out there. It's like when you become a mom, I feel like, or a parent in general, you don't understand how hard it really is. And so you have like this new appreciation for your parents once you become a parent yourself, and all parents out there. So I tip my hats to parents and business owners because it is hard and it is a grind, but ultimately, if you stick with it and, kind of going back to what you asked me about with sports, that is really helping me stick with it. Yeah, you're going to have some down days. You're going to have some really hard days. You're going to have some frustrating days, but you're definitely going to have the opposite of that.
Right.
And having those frustrating days makes those joyful days and those really inspiring days and empowering days so much more awesome.
It's such great advice. There's so many people out there that are going to be watching this that are probably not as happy as they should be in their current situation. I can attest to that. When I talked to you before, I was kind of surprised about what I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to ask you anyway so the audience can. But where do you see your practice in, let's say, 5 years from now?
Yeah, I know. I remember you asking me this before. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but I do want to grow, but I don't know if I necessarily see myself growing so much that I have all these doctors underneath me. That at this point in my life, at this point in time, that is not one of my goals. My goal is to have a flourishing practice where I can help so many women, and I predominantly help pregnancy and postpartum and helping women and birthing people navigate movement during this period of time. But I also want to be there for my family. And so at this point in time, in 5 years, I dare you to ask me this question again in 5 years, okay?
I will.
Okay. But as of right now, 5 years, I still plan on it being just me. I hope I'm, big enough where I would have, a virtual assistant of some sort, some help on the admin business side of things, because I am all of the things currently. And that has also been a massive learning curve. Social media, email marketing, all these things that I didn't know prior. But yeah, I do hope I am helping a lot of people, but I also don't necessarily see myself growing so much where I have multiple providers under me. So might be an unpopular opinion,
I love it. No,
but
I
I do
love it.
feel like I want to be where I'm financially comfortable.
Sure.
We want to travel a lot. We want to, I want to be available for my family. I need that flexibility. So at this point in time, having a 4-year-old, that and almost 10-year-old, I guess at that point, that's where I see myself. I know it's kind of crazy, but
Self-awareness is a powerful tool, Dr. Tanya. We just entered an elevator and you are letting me know about arch movement. What would you say?
yeah. So I, speaking of being self-aware, I feel like I've never had a great elevator pitch, but here we go.
We can work on that together.
Yeah, let's work on it. I would say arch movement is a space where people can feel safe and feel heard as they're coming to me with pain, with things like incontinence that can be embarrassing and shameful. And that's something that I've had to deal with postpartum as well. So I totally get it. But arch movement is a place where people can come to feel heard and feel safe, but also feel empowered. In movement, as a chiropractor, that is what I'm good at, is helping people return to movement, return to daily activities, post-injury, postpartum. But I predominantly work with pregnancy and postpartum and helping them navigate movement during this phase, during this era of life. And so helping them understand that they are not broken postpartum, that they can move as well as, if not better, in their postpartum era with guidance, and that there is no unsafe exercise. It's just a period of time where we have to be adaptable. And so, yeah, I'm just here to help people move their bodies as much as possible
I can.
within their goals. And so it all comes back to their goals and what they want to achieve.
So I really want to tell you that we appreciate you, and
Well, thank you.
I appreciate the fact that you're able to come on here and tell your story. I think
Yeah.
if he's looking for a chiropractor that's really going to care about them and hear them out and really, give them a nice action plan to be successful in their
Yeah.
life, physical and from a mental sense, I think that you're a great fit. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for spending time with us, Dr. Tanya. We really
Thank
appreciate
you so much. And I truly appreciate everything that you guys are doing as well with your business. It is inspiring, and it's amazing to have people like you out there to shine a light on some of these amazing businesses that are in Illinois.
Thank you. You have a great day, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Welcome to the Ill Noise Business Playbook. We sit down with people building real impact in their communities and unpack the vision behind their work. If you care about real stories and real connection, you're in the right place. Let's make some noise.